Definitely a little bit of spins, and that's okay. What's going on, YouTube? We're doing chest and back today. I'm just setting up. So we're going to start with these. It's like a low cable fly, but we're going to use this bench. I'm going to set up at a pretty steep incline. So it's going to be more like the angle I'm going to be at. It's going to be like a decline press. And you know, you've seen me before. You know, I really like to use the cables for my flies. Just figuring out exactly where I want this incline to be at. So speaking of that, not to sidetrack, but when you're setting up this incline for this exercise, try like a few different angles to find where you're really going to get that best feel. So I'll explain more when we get into the exercise, but I want to make sure ribs are down, and I'm coming in here. I'm really feeling that lower chest. But anyway, what I was saying was, I really like cables a lot for my flies. I mean, I still also do dumbbells. We'll probably do dumbbells next time I film, just so you can kind of get into that. But I've explained before, with the dumbbell, gravity wants to pull down, and it's still good because you want to work those different angles, but it puts a lot more stress into the joint, and it's harder to get into that pec. On the cable here, where the weight's pulling us out, it's really going to open that chest out and give you a better stretch. So that's why you'll see me use cables probably the majority of the time when I do my flies, but we will do dumbbells as well. So I kind of tuck the hips. I really want to make sure the chest stays down, ribs down, abs tight, and we're not arching the back like that. Slide back a little bit. So warm up. I was probably a little bit on the heavy side for a warm up.
And I know this is going to look like we're destroying everything. Don't worry about it. We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
But I'm not really counting reps. I'm just kind of going by how I feel. I'll make sure I'm getting a stretch, getting a squeeze, feeling the activation in the muscle. And I explain a lot, but I like to explain again. I always start with flies for my chest because that's really going to open up the chest. It's going to stretch it out. It's going to activate more muscle fibers. And then you're going to get a lot more out of your bench presses, things like that. So now we're going to move over for a back exercise. So I'm going to do a one-arm seated row. So with this one, I'm going to get a big stretch forward. And so I've been a little bit tight in my low back the last week or so. So I'm going to use this today to kind of try to stretch that out, open it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my hips square. I'm going to let that kind of pull forward a little bit so I feel that stretch back here. And I'm driving that elbow back along my hip. And I'm not going to come back super far because I don't want to over tighten. I'm really trying to get in the stretch on this one. So nice and slow stretch, good squeeze. So you'll kind of hear that feels like full extension. And if you kind of relax into it, you'll get a couple more inches of stretch.
That's what she said.
On these first exercises, stretch position exercises, so really make sure that you're putting your focus on the stretch. And I'm not saying don't worry about the contraction. All you want to have a good hard squeeze, contract everything right. But my primary focus is on the bottom stretch position of that exercise, because that's what we're doing it for, is to activate. So, other side. All right, I'm coming around this back side so I can kind of show you something. So when I'm pulling here, as I'm coming back, I want that elbow to really kind of come right along my side, and I'm focused on pulling the elbow back here not the shoulder back, right? So that's what a lot of people do on their rows, because they focus on where the lat attaches up here. So they want to pull that shoulder back. People always say shoulders back. When you do shoulders back, you arch here and it all goes into the upper back and traps. We want to keep the shoulders actually down and almost like tucked in like this, and focus on that elbow coming back. That's what's really going to get those lower lats. And if you're coming here, if you're getting the upper lat, you're almost always going to get the upper lat if you're pulling high. You miss that lower lat. If you put your focus into the lower lat, you're still going to catch the upper lat as well. So that's the big thing, is when you're arching like this, really trying to focus on that top part, you're really missing out on everything lower. Whereas if you focus on the lower, you're still going to get the top. So it's not really one or the other. One's good and one's just not good. So now for my chest, I definitely prioritize the upper chest. I mean, if you're wanting to build size, you want to have a big, thick chest that looks like that suit of armor look, you always want to prioritize the upper chest.
And that's a fact.
That being said, you don't want to neglect the lower chest. Now, I will say it is not as important, but it is still important. You know, you don't want to be thick and just coming down to this narrow lower chest. You want to hit that bottom as well, so it really fills out. That's one thing that I did wrong for a long time lifting. I mean, granted, I've been doing this for 23 years, 24 years now. So a long time. And so like I said, I've always prioritized the upper chest, but I did it too much for a long time to where I got a big, thick upper chest that was good, but my lower chest was not. So I was thick across the top, but because I was so thick up there that took priority, I wound up getting a small lower chest, and I missed out on a lot of fullness. So that's the thing I've been trying to do, more lately the past few years is, I don't want to say put more focus into my lower chest, because I still prioritize the upper, but putting a little more focus than I have in the past into that lower chest. So that's part of what bodybuilding's about, is, building your body and then evaluating and knowing where you need to, step things up a little bit, but also knowing where you need to back things off a little bit too. That's a part a lot of people struggle with, is knowing when to kind of chill on their good body parts to let the legging parts catch up. Oh, that was tough. I was going to say something, I don't remember what it was now. Oh, that's what I was going to say when I was in the middle of that exercise. So this one, I'm squeezing right about here. So about, nipple level or stomach level here to keep it low. This same exercise, if I were, instead of coming here, if I were to come up here like this, that's going to turn into more of an upper chest movement. So it's things like that where you can do this exact same exercise, and just by changing the angle, you can really significantly change the part of the chest that it targets. So that can be good or bad. One, it's good to know how you can do the same thing two different ways for two different purposes, but it's also understanding that you can absolutely do something wrong as well. Like, right now, like I said, I'm trying to hit that low chest. If I was to squeeze too high, it's going to go into the upper chest, and I'm not going to be doing what I'm trying to do. So that's a big thing I always tell people, is it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? You can have the best program in the world, but if you don't know how to do that exercise properly, or you're making mistakes, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So it's not just, I do this and that should be good. You really need to understand what you're doing. And more importantly than that, you need to understand why you're doing it. It's not just what you know, it's understanding how that works, how the muscle works, everything like that. Once you really start to understand anatomy, the insertion points, the attachment points of the muscle, the way they move the bones, all that kind of stuff, everything starts to make a whole lot more sense. And it's really easy to then come up with variations that are going to work differently because you can understand how something's going to work. So while we're doing this in between real quick, like this I'm doing 60 pounds, which is not heavy for me. And so this is still a heavy week. I'm still going to do a drop set on the next set. I'm still trying to push the muscles and stuff like that. But like I was saying, I'm a little bit tight in my low back this past week or so. So it's things like that, knowing when to adjust your training a little bit, that's going to get you a lot farther. You know what I'm saying? So next week is going to be a deload week for me. So I'll go lighter, kind of essentially just going through the motions, not trying to really stress the muscles. I'm not trying to fatigue anything. I'm not trying to build anything. It'll just be getting some blood in the muscle and recovering, right? So I could think, okay, well, next week's my deload week, so I'll push it this time, and then I do a deload week coming up, so it'll be good. Which, on the one hand, sounds good, but like that's, if I try to push it too much today when I'm already kind of feeling a little back there, I could wind up fucking my back up more, which is just going to prolong the healing process, so that's not good. So this one, like I said, I chose this exercise to kind of stretch it out a little bit more. I don't want to push it too much. Still good stimulation. So my focus here is just really good form, still making the muscle work, but just being careful with it. We're going to do pull downs next. And so with my pull downs, I'll be able to go a little bit heavier because I'm not going to be putting that lower back in a stressed or compromised position. So being able to adjust and know when to step back a little bit is super, super important. I'll take another minute or so before this next set, but kind of going back to what I was talking about with the last one, I've struggled for a long time with taking that step back and doing the deload, because especially when you're making good progress, you just a little bit more, and you want to push it, and we know anybody that's, like a serious athlete that, really puts in the effort, we have a lot of pride in pushing ourselves. So it's really hard to not do that all the time. And then it's real easy to fall into that fear of missing out, right? Of missing out on gains. So a lot of people think they just have to continuously do more. We hear progressive overload, and so you think you have to do more all the time. But a lot of people don't understand that step back is productive, and honestly more productive than just pushing all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like if you push to a point where you get, I don't even want to say like injured, where you're like out, you know what I'm saying? But if you're having to work through, like I said, I'm dealing with a little bit of a lower back tightness right now. Not an injury, you know what I'm saying? But it's tight. And if I continue to push that, then I will wind up with an injury, you know what I'm saying? So if I take a week and just kind of be nice to it a little bit, it's going to heal faster. Then I'm going to be able to go back to 100% and be a lot more productive. But if I was to push it to a point where I'm hurt, and I have to work through that low back, or I have to work through a hurt shoulder or something like that, like if you're having to work through things all the time, you're not making fucking progress. Like you're not progressing when you're working through a problem. You know what I mean? So if you're constantly having problems, then you're not progressing anyway. So don't be afraid to take it easy now and then. You know what I mean? Because in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, you'll make a lot more progress. And once you learn that, everything will change for you. That's, so same thing I talked about before, that RPE scale, the rate of perceived exertion. That was like an RPE 9. So I could have probably got one more rep, but I always leave that one in the tank to err on the side of safety so that I can keep going. So yeah, like I said, if I give up one rep, right? If I train one rep shy of failure, that's not going to sacrifice any noticeable progress, right? But if I were to try to get one more rep and I tweak my shoulder or tear something, injure the chest, something like that, that one rep that I went for could cost me 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a couple months maybe in progress. So that's where you have to look at, cost versus reward, right? If I give up one rep, it's not going to really cost me anything. You know what I'm saying? Versus if I do that one rep and I get hurt, that's going to cost me a lot. You know what I'm saying? So don't feel bad about erring on the side of caution. You'll still make plenty of good progress. Okay.
無理しなくていいよ。今日は初日で疲れてるでしょ。何日か筋肉を休めて疲労が取れてから再度挑戦すればいいからね。
I'm thinking of it, doing these drop sets with the bolts right here. I haven't even done this yet, but they just came out with an update I just found out about like a couple days ago. So that's one thing that's cool about this thing, because it's electric, it connects to your Wi-Fi. They can come out with new programs and features, and you just download it and do an update like you would on your phone. So they came out with this new one where you can set it to do an automatic drop set. So you can program in there what weight, how many reps you're going to do, and then it will automatically drop the weight, at that number. You can just keep going. You don't have to set it down and change anything. So, like I said, I haven't even done that yet, but I'm definitely excited to try it. Now we're going to do incline dumbbell press, which I'm super excited about. I haven't been able to do incline dumbbells for quite a while because I didn't have heavy enough. So my regular dumbbells, they only go up to 60, which is not very heavy. So I haven't really been able to get much stimulation with that. But I just got these ones a couple weeks ago. These power block dumbbells. So these are the Pro series. So these come with two different handles. So these handles are 20. These handles are 12 and a half. And with these expansions, these go all the way up to 175 pounds. So I can't do that yet. But we got some growing room. Do 80s on the first set. I'll do 110 on the second set, and we'll drop from there. So I always like to mix up barbells, dumbbells. Probably next time I film a chest and back workout, we'll do a Swiss bar press, just so you guys can see that one. But lots of different variations, right? So you always want to hit the muscle from different ways. It's going to make it develop a lot more fully, three-dimensionally. I mean, we're doing incline press, so like I said, put incline press in the program all the time. One time it'll be barbell, this time we're going to be dumbbells. Next time we'll do Swiss bar. Same thing with the flat. We mix it up. Next time I'll probably do dumbbells on the flat bench. Today's going to be a barbell. All right. So if that one you probably saw, but I don't say consciously do it because I am paying attention to what I'm doing, but I kind of come down, let my hands rotate here, and I flare as I press. So what I mean by I'm not consciously doing it is I'm not trying to make myself do that rotation. I'm just letting my arms move the way they naturally move. So that's one of the benefits of doing dumbbells is you have that free movement. The barbell, you're more locked in, which I wouldn't say one's better or worse. They're just different. So, running out of breath talking. So it's good to do these different variations. So you hit that muscle, it's going to load completely differently. So that's why we mix it up. Wide grip, pull down. And I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I saw somebody doing the way I'm going to do it the other day. I don't remember who it was, or I'd give them credit. But the way they're doing it that made a lot of sense to me, and you'll see when I do this exercise, is rather than doing like your typical pull down like this, they were doing it almost like a pullover type of movement, which is, when I watched that and thought about that makes a whole lot more sense, because the way the lat pulls is it drives that arm back. The lat doesn't pull down like this like a lot of people think. This is teres major, teres minor, which rotates the scapula. So if you're pulling straight down, the elbows in like this, that's where people get really thick up in the top, because they're hitting those muscles, which are sort of under the lat. They're not entirely under the lat, but they're sort of under the lat. And they think they're hitting lats. So those muscles can push the lats out a little bit. But if you're pulling in and arching like that, you're missing half the lats. That's why you see people at the back that do this like this, and they don't have that good top to bottom V. It comes in like this and then they'll do their lat spread, and it looks like, where'd your lats go? Because there aren't really lats. You know what I'm saying? It's basically an illusion. So you'll go in that spread, and it's just stretching a thin muscle out. There's nothing really there. So you'll see how this one makes a lot more sense. But I'm still going to come up, kind of lean forward so I get that good stretch. But I'm going to lean back a little bit, and my arms are not going to stay totally straight, so it's not completely like a pullover, but I'm going to kind of pull like I'm aiming for my hips. So the way I like to imagine it is kind of like you're doing a muscle up on the bar. So a muscle up, you're not going to pull to here and then try to rotate over. You're pulling to your hips to get your arms in that position. So I still use a relatively wide grip, similar to what I would do on a normal pull down. Oh, while I'm thinking of it, these shirts, people have been asking about my shirts for quite a while. I finally have them available on my supplement website, lifts.with.wolves.com. So I have 6 different designs. So we got the logo on the front, and each one has a quote on the back. I think this one's nothing truly great ever came from a comfort zone. So if you guys follow me, which I imagine you do if you're watching me, and then you know that I'm huge on motivation. That's like my whole thing. So that was my thing with the supplement, or my thing with the clothing line, was having something that's going to inspire people. So that's why I did the 6 different designs, so you can do different shirts, different days. I have t-shirts on there as well. So each one has that motivational, inspirational quote on the back. So help motivate yourself, inspire other people. I got my shorts on there. They're super comfortable. They're really light, breathable, quick drying. You can swim in them even. I got the sweatpants on there as well. So if you've been asking about them, or like my shirts when you see me wear them, lifts.with.wolves Scroll down, the clothing's at the bottom. I got my supplements on there too. But yeah, get them if you want. Big thing with my water, I put about half a teaspoon of salt in the 1 gallon jug. Because the salt really helps your body absorb and use that water. If you're not doing that, that's where you're just really like flooding your system. You're just pumping that water through. So you really need a little bit of salt, sodium, to retain that water. That's why when you sweat, it's salty. So you're sweating out water, you're also sweating out salt. So a lot of people say, low sodium and everything, which for the average person that eats an unhealthy diet that's loaded with sodium and everything, they don't work out, they're not healthy, then yeah, that person needs to cut down on the salt. But if you're, an athlete, if you're training hard and you're eating clean, like clean foods don't have much salt in them. So that's a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, is they're dehydrated even when they're drinking a lot of water because they don't have the sodium in there. So if you eat clean and you train hard, you gotta have more salt in your diet or your water.
That's a little salty.
So I do a half a teaspoon, and I can taste it a little bit. I kind of like that mineral taste a little bit. My wife doesn't like it as much. So you don't need a half a teaspoon. Most people, if you do a quarter teaspoon in a whole gallon of water, that's all you really need. You know what I mean? And with that, you don't taste it. You know what I'm saying? So you're not drinking this salty water. It's pretty minimal. Do 110 today. I did 125 my last workout, and I got it for reps, but they weren't bad reps, but they were too much tension. So that's the thing I talk about a lot, is you want to go heavy, but you always want to make sure that you're feeling that release. So I did 125 last time. I was getting full reps, but it felt tight the whole time. I wasn't getting that full release stretch. So I knew I didn't get as much out of that one as I could have. So that's why I'm going to go a little bit lighter today. Not light, but always want quality over quantity, whether it be reps, weight, sets, all of it. You know what I'm saying? If you do really good quality work, you don't need to do nearly as much because you're putting more into that little bit that you're doing. Like if you do spread a workout over 3 hours and you're doing all this crazy shit, you can't work out hard for 3 hours. So most of you're just wasting your time and stressing your body in a way you don't need to. And these workouts when I'm filming take a little bit longer because I talk more in between sets. And sometimes it's to let me rest a little bit more, but I try to educate you guys and teach stuff while I'm going. When I'm not filming my workouts, I go a little bit quicker, but it's during my workouts that I come up with most of my ideas for content. So if I'm not filming like this, I'll think of something that I want to talk about. I'll go put a note of it in my phone, just so I don't forget. But when I am filming, you get the live streaming thoughts right from my brain. These things are a little bit difficult to move around because they're so damn big, but that's okay. Definitely a little bit of spins, and that's okay. Holy shit.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
One thing I think about as I'm sitting here struggling to like breathe and see and stay upright is when you think about hard things that you deal with in your life. One thing that kind of dawned on me one day was like when I'm training, especially as hard as I train, like this, when I put that weight down, I stood up, I feel like I'm spinning, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, can't breathe. None of that shit's fucking pleasant, but like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like it sucks, like it feels shitty, but like I'm mentally completely detached from it. And somebody asked me about it one time, like, do you learn to love the pain? And I was like, honestly, no. Like, I'd be lying if I told you that like I enjoy feeling that way, but it's like not relevant to me because it's like it's expected, it's part of it. Some people are like, oh, I like the pain, I like feeling it because I know that means growth, which I do know that, but like I don't have that connection to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like stand up, feel like I can't breathe, I'm gonna pass out and be like, yeah, this is awesome. No, it just doesn't even register in my mind really because it's just part of it. So applying that to the rest of your life, when shit gets hard, when you're trying to accomplish something big and shit gets hard, like it's just the way it is. So you don't need to love it, you don't need to hate it, just expect it and then it doesn't matter. I've never seen a dog do that before. Not my boy.
Hi, Toru. You having good dreams?
I told you earlier, I couldn't remember who I saw doing these pull downs this way. It's Brandon Curry, that's who it was. Won the Olympia, I don't remember what year, 3-4 years ago, I think maybe. Well, he wasn't doing it, he was actually training somebody else, explaining it to him. But yeah, that's who I like. Forgot earlier when I was talking about it. But I like to give credit where, credit's due when I learn something from somebody. Whoa. Whoa. Well, I'm setting up for the next one. We're gonna do flat bench, and we're gonna do like a kind of like a seated pullover with the Voltra using that bench. But like I was saying, next week's gonna be a deload week. Still film, it'll be shoulders. So I'm doing 3 and 1. So I'll do 3 weeks intense, 1 deload week, 3 weeks intense. And so it really, like how you do your deloads and the frequency of them, there's a lot of variables, right? So number 1 is how hard you're training. Sorry, I can't come home where you want me. So if you're doing like straight sets of 10 to 15, something like that, you could probably do like a 6 and 1, 6 weeks intense, then do a deload week, so on and so forth. I really like drop sets. I always have. I've always felt it was a great stimulator for growth because you're hitting failure almost like a couple times, right? So I talk about like the RPE, right, where I'm leaving 1 rep in the tank. So I'm training close to failure 1 rep, maybe 2 reps away from failure. But by dropping it, I'm really going past that point. So if I give up 1 rep shy of failure, but then I drop the weight and do 3 or 4 more reps, drop it again and do another 3 or 4 more reps, I'm getting way more benefit than if I did that 1 extra heavy rep. You see what I'm saying? But when you train like that consistently, you beat your body up a whole lot faster. So because I'm doing those drop sets, I couldn't train good and hard for 6 weeks straight, right? The 5th week and 6 weeks for sure. Probably that 4th week, I would be kind of getting through it, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is when you don't, because I don't like to take deloads. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't enjoy like half-assing it. That's not fun for me. Like I mean, I still enjoy working out because it's working out, but like I don't come into a deload week and be like, fuck yeah, this is fun. You know, I have to really force myself to ease up on it. So doing that, it lets you recover so your body's better, but it also keeps your mind and your motivation on a high level, because after that deload where you can like, fuck yeah, let's get after it again. 3 weeks, like, I gotta take that deload. And then it's right back to it. So really the payoff is a lot more than if you're to try to push it all the time like that. The other aspect of it is the bigger you get, the stronger you are, the more weight you're gonna move. The more weight you're gonna move, the more stress on your body, right? So if you're someone who's benching 135, right? That's just not nearly as much stress as someone who's benching 315, right? Even if you're somebody that can bench 500 pounds and you're benching 315, 315 for someone who can bench 500 is not going to be heavy, but 315 pounds is still 315 pounds. So it's still a lot of stress in your nervous system. So that's the thing, is the bigger and stronger you get, the more rest and recovery your body's going to need. So that's a lot of people get backwards, is they think that the bigger and stronger they get, the more they have to do, which isn't really true, because just what you're doing in general already is more. So the more you advance, the more you're putting into your work, which means the more recovery you get. When you're a beginner and you just don't train that hard because you're not that experienced, you're not as strong, so you're not moving as much weight, you can get away with 5 or 6 days a week. If you're someone who's bigger and stronger, you can't do 6 days a week. 5 days a week probably isn't the best. Like for me, I used to, back in the day, I used to train 2 lifting sessions a day, 6 days a week, plus an hour of cardio. So I would do, for example, I would do like arm or chest and back in the morning. I would rest, I would do arms in the afternoon, and then I would do an hour of cardio that night. That'd be one day. Then the next day I would do legs in the morning, shoulders in the afternoon, an hour of cardio at night. Then I would do that again. So I'd do 4 days like that, then take a rest day, then I'd do another 4 days. So that was like, geez, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I don't remember how long ago. It was a long time ago. But that was way too much even for then. So I'm not suggesting that ever as a good idea. But that's the kind of thing I used to do. You know what I'm saying? Now I do Monday, Tuesday, rest Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, rest the weekend. That's it, right? I do, I don't really do cardio. I mean, we walk the dogs every day. In Colorado, we like to go hiking a lot, especially, now getting into summer as the weather's getting nice. So, I do like, cardio-ish activities, but I don't own a treadmill. I don't go out and do any kind of specific cardio. So that's another thing on like stuff like this where I debate on the weight. Like I said, I always like to err on the side of caution. I mean, one, I've developed my body fairly well, I think, in my opinion anyway. And so for me, like, I still want to make progress, and I obviously still am, but like I was saying before, it's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, I definitely don't consider myself half-assing anything. You know what I'm saying? So playing on the safe side so that I can stay with it over the long period of time is going to get you a lot further. You know what I'm saying? Versus if you risk injury, like that's it. You know what I'm saying? If you're like, a professional bodybuilder, or you're really, going somewhere with that, you're not just doing it for your own enjoyment and developing your body, then in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to risk it. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be doing this. You're not training for 3 months and then just fucking off after that. Like, you got to maintain this shit. So for me, especially, now that this is my career, doing this and then filming, putting online for you guys, if I hurt myself and can't train and can't make content, then what the fuck am I doing? You know what I'm saying? So that's where this one, I'll be like, if I'm debating, like that last set felt pretty light, but I'm already going up, I'm gonna do a drop set. I'm like, well, should I go a little bit more than what I was planning on doing? Like this week, I'll be like, no, you know what I'm saying? Because I'll be safe. We'll see how this next set feels. And then I'll know for the next time, not next week, because like I said, we're doing the deload. But next time I'll know, okay, I know that I can do that then. So if I'm on the fence, I'll go to the safe side rather than risking it. And so if I go do this one, it goes well, okay, for sure next time I can go heavier. So I'm gonna grab the top loop here. There you go. They're always a little bit awkward to get on. Basically pulling down and feeling like I'm almost pushing away from my body. So with this one, my hands are going away from my body, not here, because my elbows, what's really, the lat attaches here. So my elbows are coming towards my hips. My hands are going more towards my knees, but I'm not really thinking about my hands. It's more of those driving elbows back. And again, it's real important to keep those abs tight, ribs down. Because when I let this pull me up and I arch my back like that, now I'm in a position where my lats can't really contract. So I'm gonna be able to stay down, fight against that weight going up, so they can stay in the lats the whole way. Deciding what weight I do also makes a difference, like right now, where my wife is filming. Normally she would spot me. She can still help with drop sets. So that's where the last one was debating how much heavier I was going to go. If she wasn't holding the camera right now, I probably would have gone a little heavier. Another reason to be safe. And like I feel like next week's a deload. Like, I still feel good, but my body is definitely on that verge of being beat up. That's how you know it's time for a light week. But yeah, while we're talking about that, that's one thing that I can't possibly stress enough to you guys, is that your growth and your progress, all of it comes from resting, okay? You don't grow in the gym whatsoever at all. The gym is to stimulate growth, but it's not the growth itself. So when I say all of your growth comes from resting, obviously I don't mean just sit around and do nothing all the time, because if there's no stimulus, there's no reason to grow. But to my point, if you train 6 days a week, that's only 1 day for growth, right? If you train 7 days a week, there's zero opportunity for growth. you're not fucking getting anywhere. 5 days a week, you only have 2 days, right? So that's where for me, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday recovery, Thursday, Friday, then Saturday, Sunday recovery. You're training 4 days, you're resting 3, right? So pretty good split. Obviously we have one more training day than we do a rest day, but we're right there, even, right? So that's why you're going to get the best opportunity for growth by having those rest days. So again, when we're talking about the deload, when you train hard for 3 weeks straight, 6 weeks straight, whatever it is you're doing, that 1 week where you're going light, in your mind, you don't feel like you're doing anything because you're training below your means, right? That's still progress. Like you're still progress. And I'll even take a whole week off occasionally. You know what I'm saying? I might do like 3 or 4 cycles of that, the 3-in-1, and then I might take a whole week off where I don't go to the gym at all. And that's still progress. Like just because you're not in the gym doesn't mean you're not getting anywhere. You can progress while you're not here. So that like once you wrap your mind around that concept, you'll be shocked how much faster you progress. That more isn't always better. Like you hear that a lot, but it's not. Okay.
Get back to work, Stuart.
I'm actually gonna do the rope instead of this one. And that's sometimes where I'll change stuff up on the fly. Like that one, I was getting hands over, I just wasn't quite getting it as well with this bench. So this time I'm gonna do the rope so my hands can be a little bit more neutral. Oh, yeah, it's better. That was good. Definitely feel good. Definitely feel tired. No problems or anything like that, but my body's ready for the rest. So, it's a good one, guys. Thanks for being here with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next week for shoulders.